Welcome to Father-Son Flight Simulator. Today is part 4 of our navigation series. We're going to be talking about the GPS system, or the Global Positioning System. Works very much the same as it does on your cell phone or automobile. Uses multiple GPS satellites that are in orbit that are used to triangulate your exact position on Earth. And then beyond that, the software is used to project navigation information and calculations for navigation so that you can use it for directing to other waypoints in basically the system. It has many different advantages over that of radio navigation, which we looked at before. The first advantage is that it has an infinite range. I can literally program a data point that is halfway across the world and it would find it no problem. I would have a track to it. The shortest track to it, if you will, the shortest distance to it, with no sensitivity distance issues. So if you remember with the stations, when we got closer to the station, the radio navigational aid got more and more sensitive. This is not the case with GPS tracking. You can also create waypoints where there's no land. You don't need a station over the ocean to have a navigational track to that point. There are no frequencies to deal with. You don't need any frequencies to dial in stations. Everything is easy to use. It's all self-contained. It overlays perfectly with the existing or the older system, which was built off of NDBs and VORs. You can use stations, NDBs, intersections as waypoints, and it gives you live time, speed, distance calculations that are always up to date and current. So it makes it so much easier. You have so much more information than you do with radio navigation. Now, just like with other forms of navigation, even though you can do basically point to point, you can basically go direct to airports or different waypoints, you still need to be careful about what you're navigating through. You could still have airspace issues that you need to avoid, such as restricted airspace or certain classes of airspace that you should maybe want to be avoiding. You also have to worry about ground elevations. Point-to-point distance is not going to protect you if there's a mountain in your way. So you still have to know and plan. You still have to know what is around you and where you're navigating when you're programming a flight plan into your GPS. Now, the Cessna 172 default in X-Plane has within it a GS 530 and GS 430. These are approximations of the Garmin GNS 530 and GNS 430. Typically, you won't need both of them. You'll use one or the other. There are some differences between the two that are important to note here, but generally they both function very similarly. So I'll point out the differences when I go through them. Now, the first thing that you have, I'm going to go through the 530 first, is you have several different pages. You have your basic navigation page, then you have a waypoint page, which has different pages through it, which gives you information on that waypoint. It even gives you, if you're on an airport, it gives you frequencies. It gives you whether or not you want to load in an approach or a vector, and then it gives you sort of a layout, whether it's a soft field or a hard field. And then you also have another mode called the nearest, and the nearest gives you basically your nearest airports that are around you. It gives you also, let's see, let me get the cursor off. It gives you nearest intersections and distances to them. It gives you the nearest VOR stations and localizer stations. Important note here, if it's a 4-letter identifier, that's a localizer. If it's a 3-letter identifier, it's a VOR station. It gives you the nearest types of airspace around you. Today we're in Wilmington, which is where we ended our last flight. It's a Class D airspace, which means it's a basic towered airport. And that will that's the front page of your GNS or GS530. Most of the times you're going to be operating in nav mode. So let's go over our flight plan for today. We're going to go from Wilmington to Grand Strand, which is in North Myrtle Beach. And we're not going to take a direct track, and this is just to emphasize what GPS can do over that of the VOR. From departure, I'm going to go direct to this Wilms intersection. Now, with VOR, I would have had to dial in the 240 radial from Wilmington, cut into it, and then turn 240 from, and then get the cross radial. It looks like it was from, I don't know, where is that one? Where's the cross radial? I can't find it. But there's maybe from an NDB, looks like. Well, anyways, I would have had to dial in the other cross radial to know that I was actually at Wilms. And then there would have been very difficult for me to go directly from this Wilms intersection to Ash's intersection. But with GPS, that's really no problem. I don't have to worry about dialing radials off a station. I could just go direct to that intersection. And that's part of the power of going GPS. So I'm doing this just as a demonstration to show how easy it is to take any waypoint that's predefined in the or station that's predefined in the old VOR NDB system, and it works perfectly. It have predefined points all ready to go in my GPS database. So after departure, I'm going to head direct to the Wilms intersection, and then I'm going to cross to Ash's intersection, just using the magenta line from the GPS, and then basically I join this airway to get to the Grand Strand Airport, excuse me. So Grand Strand has a tower. It's Class D airspace. So when I get within range, within 10 nautical miles, I'll begin to call out. 5 nautical miles, I'll be in the Delta airspace, and I'll be given instructions for landing. So there you go. In the GPS, I've entered them in. I get distances of each leg and the cumulative distance for each leg. And when I'm in the air, when I have speed going, I'll be able to get actual time en route. Let's go ahead and go to the moving map. You can see that I'm pointed sort of to the east, so you don't see my track, but you will see it once I turn around and get ready for get on the hold line for departure. Before we go, I just wanted to show you what this looks like in the GS1000. It works exactly the same way. The GPS functionality is all here on the lower right. You can pull up the flight plan and enter in your waypoints exactly the same way you would the others. You have also the nearest airports. You have a little button here that says NRST. That gives you the nearest airports, just like it does with the others. So not much difference. It works exactly the same way, and you can go ahead and use the GS1000 also for GPS if that's what you prefer. So let's go out to the airport and see how this actually works in the real plane. Okay, welcome to Wilmington. We're in the airplane holding short of runway 24. We've done our run up and start up, and we're just waiting for departure. Let's get into the plane. So I've got all of my communications frequencies dialed in. I just got ATIS on 1211.
INTL information Zulu. 1700 Zulu weather.
So we're on information Zulu.
0 at 7, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 6,300 few, temperature 23, dew point 0. Altimeter 2982.
Altimeter
arriving
in.
runway 24.
24.
Departing runway 24.
Okay.
Advise on initial contact you have Zulu.
Okay, we have Zulu. And we've already told that tower to taxi out to this intersect or to this whole point. So we're going to go ahead and tell tower we're ready to go. Just as a reminder, I've got the flight plan in both the 530 and the 430. So you can see we got it all in there. We got Wilms, then to Ashes, and then to Grand Strand Airport. I'll be flying at 3,000 feet. Let's turn the altimeter on, or turn the transponder on. Okay. And let's see, fuel pumps on for takeoff. Full mixture rich. Got our lights on. And okay, let's go ahead and get back to nav mode. And we'll contact tower. Okay. Wilmington Tower, Cessna 714 Tango Whiskey, holding short runway 24, ready for departure. Clear for takeoff, runway 24, 4 Tango Whiskey. Okay, let's get going. Going to be climbing to 3,000 feet once I get airborne. Hit center. Good takeoff. Okay, now I want to see the needle, or I want to see my distance from the needle on the VOR station. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the CDI needle on. And you can see now it lets me know how far away I am from the track. But this OBS knob doesn't do anything. So what I normally do is I just set it to the planned track, the DTK, as a reference, and then I change it to count for wind correction angle once I know it. So let's go ahead and okay, resume all navigation, 4 Tango Whiskey. Okay, so tower has let us resume navigation. So we're going to go to our track. We can see the track is going to be over this way to heading a 240. We're almost directly on it. It's just a little bit over to our right. And same here, that's what it's indicating here, and it's also indicating here. So in order to get back on the track, we're going to cut in. Until it centers. I got about a 15-degree angle on there. Okay, and as I get in close to the magenta line, it is coming more and centered here, and we're closing the distance here. I can also change my range if I want, zoom in a little bit if I want. And I'm just about on it, almost there. Okay, 3,000, let's level off. Start speeding up and trim. And I'm on center, so now I'm going to turn to 250. It looks like I have 0 wind throwing me off today, so that's good. Once I get trimmed up here. Okay, let's see how I did. I have my airplane is right on the line, right on the track. Magenta line looks good, straight ahead. My actual ground track is matching my planned track. I have very little wind correction going on right now. And immediately it's giving me distance to the waypoint, my estimated time en route. My ground speed's looking at about 108 knots, but my airspeed is looking at about 113 knots, so I have a little bit of a headwind. And I'm getting the same information here as I'm getting on the 430. It's just laid out a little bit differently. Frequency change approved, 4 Tango Whiskey. Alright, tower has now let us go. We're now out of their airspace and free to navigate. Okay, you can see basically flying the magenta lines, pretty easy. Giving me all the information I had to calculate beforehand. I'm still freehand flying it, although if I were using autopilot, it would automatically line up for me. Hold altitude and all that, so maybe we'll do an episode on how it works. Now let's go ahead and lean up the plane. A little bit leaner peak is what I want. There it is. Retrim to account for the power loss. So I can get very precise on my actual ground track to my planned track once I am in the air and I'm on the magenta line. Gives me very accurate information, probably more accurate than I can read off of the heading indicator. And sometimes what you'll see is a difference between the track and what you're actually reading on the heading indicator. Let's see if I got something. I got a slight difference. Let me see. Not really. But sometimes you'll see a difference, and maybe we'll see it on the next leg, which is coming up, where if my actual heading to maintain my track is a little different, then that's my wind correction angle. Automatically finding out my wind correction angle just because of the power of what I get off of the GPS tool. We have a very high tower obstacle coming up here, but we're well above it. We have about 5.5 minutes to get to the next intersection. And what's going to happen is it's going to, when I get to the intersection, Wilms intersection, it's going to automatically detect that within 30 seconds out. And then it will automatically update to the next waypoint, which will change my magenta line from here to the next leg. Still looking good. Engine dials are all in the green. Not using autopilot. Alright, 2 minutes and 15 seconds away. Almost there. Okay, at 30 seconds out, it's going to give me a warning that the next waypoint's coming up, or the next leg is coming up. Any second now. There it does. Okay. So it's giving me a warning. I think the next one's going to be 274. 274, so go ahead and turn now. Okay, I got 7 minutes to Ashes. A little bit to the left of the magenta line, as you can see by the distance here, probably about 0.1 or so nautical miles off, and a little bit off here. Same information there on the 530. Let's cut in a little bit to close that distance. Okay, and we've closed the distance. Let's get back to our track heading to match our designated track. There we go. We are right on the magenta line. Alright, on this leg we have a 105 ground speed and our indicated is 110, so we have a 5 knot headwind. Okay, maybe our wind correction angle is maybe 1 or 2 degrees or so. It's hard to tell when it's this small. But if there was a significant difference between my track and my magnetic heading, I could see what the wind correction angle was. You see, I'm totally off airways, not navigating off anything but my GPS right now between these two intersection points. It's not a natural way to navigate through VOR, but I can do it with GPS. And we're about 4 minutes out from Ash's intersection. Need to correct back on track. Got 6.5 more miles to go. Alright, 2 minutes away. Everything's looking good. About a minute to go. A lot of precision with GPS. I'm heading right for the Ashes intersection on my sectional. It's very accurate. Okay, I'm getting the warning that the next turn is coming. It's going to be 219. And it's flipped over. We can go ahead and turn to 219. Well, I overshot. Two, 220. Okay, there we go. So, if you look now, you can see that my track is 220, but my actual heading is more like 227. That means I actually have a wind correction angle of about 7 degrees to the right going on, which is automatically being shown between the difference between my track and my heading indicator. Okay, at this point I'm going to get ready for, let's see, if I can find the, oops, that would need to be on waypoint, there it is. Okay, so the 119.92 is AWOS and 124.6 is tower. 11962. Okay, so let's go back. Actually, we can do it right here.
Wilmington INTL Information Zulu. 1700 Zulu weather. Wind 260 at 7, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 6,300 few. Okay. Temperature 23, dew
and then
0.
124.
Altimeter 2982.
124.6. Getting a little bit off track here. Okay.
Grand Strand Information Zulu. 1700 Zulu weather. Wind 260 at 7, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 6,300 few, temperature 23, dew 0. Altimeter 2982.
Okay, good.
Arriving runway 23, departing runway 23. Advise
23.
on initial contact you have Zulu.
Okay, so I have Zulu. So we'll call it about 10 miles out. Let's make sure I got that right. 1246. 1246. Yep, it was right. Okay, we're about 10 miles out. Time to make our call. Grand Strand Tower, Cessna 714 Tango Whiskey, 10 miles to the northeast, full stop landing. We have information Zulu. Okay, let's go ahead and descend. Report 5 miles out, 4 Tango Whiskey. Okay. So 5 miles out will be when we hit their airspace. But we also have the distance marker there. We can descend to about 1,000 feet. And maybe we'll go 1,500. Just to get over those. We can get 1,000 as we get closer. Okay, 7 miles. I should be able to see the airport. That was weird. A little judder there. Grand Strand Tower, Cessna 714 Tango Whiskey, reporting 5 miles. Enter right base, runway 23, 4 Tango Whiskey. Is it 23 or 25? I forget. I think it's 23. There's the airport over there. Mixture rich. Fuel pump on. Slowing up the plane. There it is right there. Cleared to land, runway 23 for Tango Whiskey. A little high, we'll fix that. Plenty of runway. Alright, buttered. Not a bad landing at all. Alright, let's get a flip here. And it indicates we've arrived. Okay, so good. Off of Charlie. Alright. Grand Strand Tower, Cessna 714 Tango Whiskey is off the runway at Charlie. Taxi to the hangar straight ahead. Taxi to the hangars. Good day. Okay, let's go ahead over here and park. Well, let's actually go over here and okay, we'll park right here. need you. Alright, secure for turning it off, fuel pump off, avionics off, tablet off. Alright, well that is how you navigate with GPS, and I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that this ends our series on navigation, and you know, you can see how GPS just makes things so much easier than using the radio navigations. Although I still admonish you to learn the radio navigation. It's really good for you to know as a pilot, and the whole system is based on the old VOR NDB system. GPS is very accurate, very easy to use. It lightens up the workload of the pilot in the plane, and is becoming more and more preferred with aviators. And it's also becoming a lot more prevalent than it was when I was learning to fly 20 years ago. It was just in its infancy. So it's good to see that it's progressed to this point. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you like this video, be sure to like, and if you'd like to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and if you want to be notified of new videos coming up, hit that alarm button. And you have a good day, and we'll see you next time on Father's Son Flight Simulator.